I'm pretty excited today. Number one, the gospel book came in. It looks gorgeous. It's fantastic. Thank you so much. And number two, I have new shoes. I'm pretty excited about them. But I've learned something out of these new shoes. They're New Balance shoes. And no, this isn't a commercial, but it is. These are great shoes. And I'll tell you the story behind how I got them. It's actually not anything weird or unusual. At the recent National Clergy Conference in Arizona, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but the chief guy at New Balance shoes is Orthodox. And he gave every one of the priests at the retreat a new pair of shoes. Isn't that nice? And I learned some things that I didn't know. Because, now you ladies, you know all this already, and so you just be patient with me, okay? You've got 7,000 pairs of shoes in there. And when you open your closet and look in, you swear, oh, I have nothing to wear. Okay. But I didn't know there were different kinds of tennis shoes. I thought there were tennis shoes. But there's not. There's running shoes. There's basketball shoes. There's sashaying. No, not sashaying. But these are walking shoes. These are made for walking, like the boots. And I found that fascinating that there's all these different kinds of shoes. But then I thought about what was said in Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings series, where the wizard looks at Bilbo Baggins and tells Bilbo Baggins, "Be careful, son. You don't know when you put your feet onto a path where those feet are going to take you. You don't know where those feet are going to take you. You better be ready for it." And this morning, I want to talk to you about walking. By the way, that's one of the disciplines that I found that I'm supposed to be doing all the time, and it's helped a great deal in my trying to get healthier and trying to really pay attention to my weight and my health, and so walking is a thing that I'm doing practically every day, unless it's raining. And then I have a treadmill, and I hate the treadmill. I hate it. I hate the treadmill. But I found that there is no substitute for the discipline of walking. But as I've been walking, I've also learned some things that if I don't walk well, if I don't walk properly, if I don't pay attention to my stride, if I don't pay attention to my gait, if I don't pay attention to my pace, then I will find myself either getting tired too quickly or just not really working out like I should work out to really help myself. It's an amazing amount of attention that you have to pay to learn how to walk well. It's fascinating. I never knew any of this stuff. I'm 60 years old. And I never knew it was so complicated to walk. But it is. Especially if you're walking with a purpose. If you're traveling and you're moving and you're on a journey with a purpose. Now, if you're just aimlessly shantying about, that may be one thing. But if you're on a purpose, if you have a reason to walk, if you have a reason to live, if you have a reason to live your life, then paying attention how you walk is absolutely necessary. And there's another thing that I learned years and years ago, that I don't walk well when I can't see. You ever hit your toe in the middle of the night and then have to say prayers for the language you use after bumping your knee? If I can't see well, I don't walk well. If I can't see well, I don't know where to put my foot. If I don't have enough light, then I'm going to misstep. And as I get older, I'm learning more and more that misstep as you get older, you can fall. And if you fall, did you know, brothers and sisters, that one of the main things that ends people's health and ability to stick around is falling when they get elderly and they break their hip or they break a leg and they can't recover as fast as they used to, like when you young whippersnappers now, you can pop back up anytime. But as we get older, we lose that ability. So making sure that you have enough light to walk, making sure your gait is proper, making sure you know where you're going, making sure you know why you're walking. All of these things come into play if you're ever going to be serious about walking well. The Apostle Paul does this, and I didn't want to miss anything today, so I brought the passage out with me. And if you have your program, if you want to look at the epistle lesson, I want you to, and even if, now I know this may sound like a throwback from Father Barnabas's Protestant days, but it's not a stupid idea for you to take maybe a pen out and just maybe underline, well, I didn't, oh yeah, I need it. Or maybe even make a little note in the margin. Folks, listen, these homilies aren't just because, now don't get me wrong, I enjoy the sound of my voice. It comforts me, it calms me down, it's absolutely wonderful. But the purpose of the homily is to help you get ready to receive the Eucharist. The purpose of the homily is to help you move along to receive the Lord's Supper. In fact, every part of the divine liturgy before the Eucharist is designed in some way or fashion to reorient your mind and your thinking so that you can take the Eucharist with integrity. Because the purpose of the divine liturgy, folks, isn't to hear a homily. It isn't to see your friends. The purpose of the divine liturgy is for you to receive the body and blood of Jesus so that you will live for eternity. St. Ignatius called the Eucharist the medicine of immortality. The purpose of the divine liturgy is for you to receive the body and blood of Christ so that you might be transformed and stay on your transformational journey to become by grace what Christ is by nature. And so this homily this morning is part of your preparation. It's the reason why the church centuries ago said, if you don't hear the gospel lesson proclaimed, don't approach the chalice. Because everything that happens before the chalice is designed to reform you and shape you and make you able to receive the Eucharist with integrity and with your mind and your heart. And walking is part of the most important thing. So I want you to look at this passage. The apostle begins by calling these precious Ephesians children. Beloved, walk as children of the light. Now, what does that mean? It doesn't mean that the Apostle Paul wants you to be immature. He means that he wants you to walk in your life and let everyone know around you that you are the offspring of light and not darkness. You are the generation that has been born from light, not from darkness. And light gives me ability to see clearly. Darkness, and the purpose of darkness is to hide. It's to obfuscate. It's to confuse. It's to isolate. You ever groped in the darkness for somebody that's, are you there? Are you there? The purpose of darkness is to separate you from the people next to you. You don't walk like that. You walk as children. You walk as those who have been born from the light. You want to be with your brothers and sisters. You want communion. You want to be in fellowship. You want to pay the price of being in relationship with one another. You want that because you know that's the way to life. Brethren, walk as children of the light, for the fruit of the light is found in all that is good and right and true. Isn't that wonderful? Don't we need that nowadays? Don't we need good and right and true being the normal way we live our lives instead of indulging our passions? I love what I heard a guy say a few weeks ago. He said, it is amazing. We moderns have now reduced the idea of freedom that we want to be free to become slaves to our passions. We want to be free to enslave ourselves to our own addictions. And we call that freedom. Stick your hand out here. That's not freedom, folks. That's slavery. Being slave to your passions and your desires makes you a slave. Don't do that. The fruit of being a child of the light is truth and goodness and righteousness. And try to learn what is pleasing to the Lord. Isn't that good? Take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness, But instead, now this is where things get a little nervous. One might want to gird one's loins right about now. Instead, don't participate in the fruit of darkness. Instead, expose them. Turn the light on. When I was a kid, we were poor, and we couldn't afford the exterminator. We had an old house. When we'd go into the kitchen sometimes around 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and turn the light on, little movement. The roaches were out. Drove my mother crazy. That's what happens when you turn the light on. I never will forget, the girls were goofing off years ago in their bedroom, and they were I heard snickering, and the light was off, and they were, and I went in and I flipped the light on. It's disconcerting. And yet the Apostle Paul says, if you're children of the light, if you're going to not participate in the fruits of darkness, don't just not participate, turn the light on. Expose them. Why? Because you hate them? Because you want to get back at them? You want to show them what for? You want to punish them? No. Expose the works of darkness to annihilate the works of darkness. The works of darkness kill people who are gripped by them. If you love others, you want to help them. Don't help people stay sick, folks. It's not loving. It's not kindness. It's not being merciful. It's not being open-minded. It's not being friendly. Don't help people stay sick. It's wrong. And so when you hear Father Barnabas speak very plainly about things, no, it's because my prayer for you is for you to become spiritually healthy and not remain enslaved to the works of darkness. I want you to be whole and complete and made well. And sometimes the light coming on disturbs us greatly. I'm going to jump down where the apostle says to the Ephesians, awake, O sleeper. Isn't that good? And arise from the dead. Why is he saying that? Awake, O sleeper, and arise from the dead, and Christ shall give you light. Because, brothers and sisters, when I'm not a child of the light, it is like a death. It is like living gripped by the power of darkness. And I don't know of anything that portends darkness than shutting our eyes at the last moment of our lives. It's a perfect example. Awake, O sleeper. Don't stay asleep in the death of darkness. And Christ will give you light. And then he says the key. Be careful then how you walk. And these three comparisons that the apostle uses today is the key for you and I, you and me, you and me. You and me?
You and I.
Not I, you and I, not I. No, it's not I. So is it me? We should vote. No, it's the key for us, that's better. It's the key for us to learn how to walk well. That's what we've been talking about all morning. To walk in the light. To have a purpose for our life. To have a goal for our life. To have a reason that we live and we make our choices and we set our priorities. And these three comparisons that the apostle uses today is the key for you to learn how to do this. If you have the courage and the curiosity even to know. I hope you do. First, he says, don't walk as unwise, but as wise. And look how he follows that up. Making the most of the time because the days are evil. A wise man doesn't waste the moments of his life dilly-dallying around without a purpose and without a goal and without a focus on Christ. The wise man focuses his living, his choices, his priorities on reorienting his life to the point where he lines up with the life of Jesus and allows the Holy Spirit to create the character of Christ within him or her so that he lives his life with purpose and he walks well. Look at the next one. Making the most of the time because the days are evil. And here's the second set. Therefore, do not be foolish. Don't be foolish. Understand what the will of the Lord is. Powerful. Look at that. Don't be foolish. The foolish man spends his life allowing life to live him. The wise man understands the reason for life and applies his energies and will to living that way. Not foolish, but understanding. What's the final set? And I love this one because it's so unexpected. And do not get drunk with wine, for that is debauchery. I love that word, debauchery. You so very rarely get to use it nowadays, unless you're watching the news. But be filled with the Spirit, addressing one another in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing and making melody to the Lord with all your heart. Don't get drunk, but be filled. What's the difference between drunk and filled? Drunk is always self-centered. Drunk is always the losing of control. Drunk is always the dulling of the senses so that you make bad choices. I had a dear friend of mine got in real trouble a few weeks ago because he made foolish choices drinking, and trouble ensued. That's what happens when you're drunk. But brothers and sisters, it's not just wine that makes us drunk nowadays. We can be drunk on our emotions. We can be drunk by our fear. We can be drunk by our addictions and our foolish attitudes and actions and our short-sighted way of living. We can be drunk on that. We can be drunk to the point that our senses are dulled and our attentiveness is broken and our purposeful life is shattered. But don't be drunk. But now be filled, but be filled with the Spirit. Don't be intoxicated. Be filled up with freedom, with truth, with light, with attentiveness, with maturity, with honesty, with courage. Choose your life and the way you walk so that it reflects the fact that you're on a journey to some place that you know where you're going. As we approach the Feast of the Nativity, next week we'll be celebrating St. Nick. But as we approach the Feast of the Nativity, understand that the reason for Christmas, brothers and sisters, is for a light to shine in the grotto, which becomes heaven. The cherubic throne, the Virgin. The manger, a grand space in which the King Eternal is pleased to come to us as a babe, the pre-eternal God, to light a light, to help us to see, to walk well. This is the treasure that is laid in front of you this morning. Those of you who are on the Lord's side, let it be seen in the way you live, not just the words you say. And be careful how you walk. Amen. Thank you so much for watching. I pray this was a blessing to you. If it is a blessing to you, please don't forget to like and subscribe and share these videos. It really does help us a great deal. Speaking of helping us, if you'd like to support this media outreach, go to our Patreon site at Faith Encouraged on patreon.com. You can also visit us at our website at faithencouraged.org and write me at frbarnabas@faithencouraged.org. I look forward to seeing you next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe. God bless you.